Welcome to All Worn Out. I'm your host, Warren Meredith. On the show today, Patrick Mitrow and Andy Mužar of alternative rock band Saturn Sunrise. They just released their debut EP, Saturn Sunrise 1. 5 songs for you to discover on Spotify or wherever you find your music. Let's get into it now with Patrick Mitrow and Andy Mužar. Hi, everybody. Welcome to All Worn Out. Woo! It's a podcast about music. It's a podcast about what you're passionate about. And it's a podcast about what our guests are passionate about. We are very lucky, thrilled, excited, prepared. We have the very cool, the very invigorating, the young, the sassy, the daring, the debonair. We have Andy Mužar and we have Patrick Mitrow of band Saturn Sunrise.
Nice. What an intro. Holy.
I was about to say, that's fantastic.
That's the best intro I've ever gotten.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Well, it worked out tonight. The last 2 nights, I really stumbled through it. So I was committed to giving you guys a good one.
Nice.
So folks out there watching, you know that, I've told a lot of you, I only will let one of you come on the show. And, in the new year, I might do this more. Just because, why the hell not? And this is going to be the last episode with guests in the house that has this background. Going forward into the new year, we're going to have a new look. And, it's going to be exciting. Couple changes. I know maybe you guys some of you out there saw that I added these, fancy hickory-do mic stands. And, and these poofy little pop filters, those
You're getting
things.
fancy.
Leveling up out there.
I'm trying to, So this is kind of a farewell to this set, which has been really fun and really great.
Well, we're honored to have a nice send-off for it tonight.
Thank you. Well, you guys are in a band together, Saturn Sunrise, and
Yep.
so what I like to do is I like to go back in time with my guests.
Oh, Lord.
From the very beginning, and I like to say, where were you born?
I was born in Toronto.
Born and raised in Vanier.
Hell, man, right on. Like in the house of Vanier.
Absolutely.
Oh, nice. That's wild. I like it. Yeah, man, cool. So you guys are both Ontario boys. Did you grow up in Toronto?
Yeah, I grew up in Toronto. I'm of Croatian background, so my family got a lot of family out there, so we went to visit there a lot. Grew up in Toronto. Spent some time across the country though with work. I was out in Edmonton for a couple of years. I've been in Ottawa now for 7 years. I still got my 416 number. Don't hold it against me. You could take the kid out of Toronto, but you can't take the Toronto out of the kid. Sorry, folks.
Do you miss that big city living?
Not especially. I go there every once in a while, and just I'm going back for Christmas time, and it's good. It's nice to catch up with friends. But Ottawa's pretty cool. It's grown on me. It's a really cool city. The music community is growing and growing. It's nice to get deeper and deeper into it. It's nice meeting new folks, and it's a really cool vibe that Ottawa's got going.
Andy, are you a Leafs fan?
I used to be, but I've been hurt too many times. I still consider them my team, but man, anytime we play Boston, I cry. It's like, oh no, here it goes again. I remember the first time that happened in the playoffs. Holy smokes! It was like me and 10 of my friends in one of their basements. It's just after we didn't talk for literally 15 minutes, and we're just all sad.
All had that single tear down the cheek.
Oh, yeah. I think one of them just left without even saying a word. Oh man, it's hard to be a Leafs fan. I know it. And I'll take the razzing. We deserve it. But
it's been rough as a Sens fan, It's
That's
been
true
7
too.
years of hell pretty much for us. We've had tantalizing young players that are good, Dangle, they're good. Look at it's Brady to Chuck. And it's we're still not going to the playoffs. So it's one of those things. But this year I like the team. They have a lot of attitude.
Nice.
Determination that I haven't seen in the past several years.
Have you checked out any games so far this year?
I was invited to one tonight, and I said, no, I can't. I cannot go. I have a podcast, but I am gonna go sometime in the new year.
Who's playing tonight?
Gosh, who is it? Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
Oh, I did a good game.
Yeah, they're very close in the standings. Very similar records. Yeah, anyways, so I am a hockey guy, so the only evidence of that is the 11 up in the top. Sasha's barking right now and losing her mind. But the good news is that my audio AI software edits dog barks out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's hilarious because there's some episodes where I'm like yelling at her to stop, and like the guest is here like, and then when I finish editing,
It's just you screaming.
that's right. I'm just yelling, and the guest is like, "What is going on?" And there's no dog barking.
Stop yelling at your dog.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, why are you yelling at a ghost dog?
You're just screaming, Sasha, stop.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
This podcast will chronicle you slowly but surely losing it, yelling more and more, and nothing.
I mean, I don't know why she does this. She decides that everything that walks outside that window is against the law, and it needs.
I get it. I do the same thing.
Needs to
When
be
I play
told
when I
that.
play drums, I'm just back there. I just bark at everybody.
Have you ever seen that video of the old man who goes out and he like tells the construction people to get off of his lawn because it's like the cement truck's like half of a foot onto the property, but it's like actually on the city property line. 'Cause
Yeah,
the
yeah.
city owns like part into
Yeah.
your lawn. So they're doing cement work on the lawn, and he comes out, "Get out of here!
Yeah.
Get off my lawn! Get off my lawn, guy!" And he ends up slipping and falling in the cement.
That's brilliant.
Getting like completely covered in it, and he gets up and breaks it, and he ends up getting arrested. And it's just like,
it just keeps getting worse.
yeah, it just progressively, and it's all real. Like it's not like a movie, you know. Oh yeah, so Google that shit out there, folks. Maybe I'm like dreaming. That'd be great if I just made it up, you know.
It's like no one can find it anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so you guys, as kids, what were you into? Were you into music right away?
So yeah, like I grew up, like my family is very musical family. Grew up, my dad played guitar, sang. I grew up around that, piano, all that fun stuff. Growing up, I was, put into sports until I had too many concussions and I had to stop playing sports.
Yeah.
I was like 13, so then I was like, okay, let's go into some music, learn some guitar. And I learned, I originally learned to play guitar to try to get some girls, right?
Who doesn't? That's why you pick it up.
Exactly. And then
Of course, you chose the concussive instrument. You went right for
that was my ADHD in me. I was like, I need to move around more.
I gotta pound shit,
Exactly.
It's what's gotta happen right now.
Yeah. And so it started off by annoying the teachers in class where I'm tapping on the desks and that's how it all started. And then slowly but surely, getting my first drum set. And then having set up in my living room at my dad's house.
How old were you when you get your first kit?
So when I got my first kit, so I bought it myself. I lived in Calgary for about a year after high school.
Okay.
When I moved back to Ottawa, it was with my last of my $1,000 of dollars that I had in my account.
Mhm.
Instead of being responsible, I'm like, let's go get an apartment. I was buying a drum set.
Right.
And so I was about 18. And then it literally took up the entire living room at my dad's house.
What was his response? How did he react to this?
My dad was like, you can set it up, but we're jamming every day. So I was all for it. Absolutely.
Oh, that's a great
my dad
reaction.
encouraged music. It was fantastic growing up in that kind of environment.
Okay.
That fostered creativity and things like that.
Were you guys in bands in high school then? Or you said you were 18 when you got this kid, I guess. So I didn't do music really until later. I was a theater kid or whatever, and more interested in making people laugh than I would have been in singing. You know, I wouldn't have, even at that time, I would have been like, no way do I have it to go I don't want to sing against a guy like Alex here. Sorry. Against
Andy
here. Oh, sorry about that. I apologize. I have multiple Alexes in my life. I should mention that. So that's why that name is stuck in my head.
No worries.
They follow me around. But Andy, that's a new one. I don't have many Andys in my life.
There you go. I don't run into too many of them. And a lot of them go formal with the Andrew. I'm originally an Andrew, but stuck with the Andy.
Yes.
And I started playing guitar around 12. And when I first got it, I quit. It was just like, I had an old acoustic guitar. It was just like, I don't like this. It's too much work. But then I started playing every day type of thing. Spent 4 or 5 hours in high school every day type of thing, playing a lot of guitar. Joined bands. I was in jazz band. I even organized my teachers back then to create a jazz improv course that nobody really wanted to join. And I know, right? I went full nerd into it. And so I played a lot of music, played in some bands, Battle the Bands back in the day when I was like 12, 13. Some shows
13?
Yeah, it was pretty fun. We played in like, I remember when we were 13 or 14, we played it at the El Macombo, and that to us was in Toronto. It's like a legendary place. The Stones played there back in the day, so we're like, whoa, we're really making it. First few set of shows, but it was fun, man. It was fun for sure.
12, 13.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you get so were you doing lessons very young? Did you just excel with an instrument? How did you end up in a band so young?
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, I was like, I took like 4 lessons. I quit. And I was like, this is not for me. Then after I started playing by myself, teaching myself how to play, learned from tabs, learned a lot of cool songs that I liked. I was playing bass a lot too in music school. I was lucky in grade 7, our music teacher introduced bass to that. They usually had like woodwinds and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I told him I play guitar. So he like automatically put me on bass, which is great because I didn't want to learn trombone or saxophone. Yeah. Looking back, it would have been cool. But it was great to get on the strings right away. And so I mean, we applied to like some local Battle of the Bands type of thing, and they put us on there, and it was fun. It was fun. Great show for sure. I mean, we're just playing like power chords and stuff. Nothing crazy, nothing fancy, but it's like, that's how you get started, you know?
You're still the cool kids at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, you take over. Like the jocks are looking on anxiously when you are performing, and they're going, "What's going on right now?"
It's a little role reversal, you know.
Right.
All that jazz band pays off.
Right? The girls seem to be paying attention to them right now.
Yeah.
What is going on? And the
That's right.
shift begins.
There you go.
But I was such a nerd back then. I wouldn't have done anything like that at all. No. I mean, I did bring my guitar in. That's the one similarity I would say is like I had just sold all my goalie gear and bought a guitar because I knew I wasn't going to have a growth spurt, and sadly figured that out. So I just said, fuck it, and sold the gear and
just lean into it.
Yeah, and I got a Samick guitar.
Okay.
And I was really bad, and I didn't take to it at all. I was much better at piano. I should have just stayed in piano.
Yeah.
But and looking back, it was fun, you know.
Yeah,
like I didn't. Some people like you blossomed off of that. I would say like I went to the guitar and I was like, I have to relearn all this stuff, like where the notes are, and like that frustrated me because I'm like on the piano, I just know where everything is already.
I got the reverse story right now. My girlfriend bought me a piano last year for Christmas, and like I've been wanting to learn piano,
And then
I finally set it up again. Like I had it before, but we moved it away out of the jam room. And then now we set it up again. I've been playing a little bit here, 5-10 minutes a day type of thing. And it's the same thing. It's like I'm playing this. I'm like, why am I struggling when I can just go and start shredding, you know?
I know. Exactly. So, I mean, when you're 12 years old, what are you up to, Patrick?
So, God, up to no good. No, when I was like 12, 13, that's kind of when I had like a little like rap phase, like 12, 13. And then I heard like Bad Religion for the first time. There was a song, I know exactly where I was. I was on Much Music. The song Sorrow came up, and I like converted me into like punk and punk rock. And then I fell into like skateboarding and all that fun stuff. And then what came naturally, I'm just going to there was no trespassing happening ever while skateboarding. No, none of that. And then naturally fell into like the music of it and learning the songs of my favorite artists. I was lucky because looking back at my high school, like my high school was, it's pretty ghetto. I went to Sammy G.
Okay.
But like,
where's Sammy G?
Samuel Jeanette. That's in, it's just outside of Vanny. It's like near, off Montreal Road.
Okay.
Like up the hill a bit.
All right.
Past the hospital.
Right.
But,
see, I wouldn't know anything. I'm from Chesterville.
Okay.
So it's a town of 1,400 people. And our high school just had a graveyard on either side of it. So, and then miles of nothing. So you couldn't skip unless you had your driver's license and you had your own whip. And everyone drove their skidoos in.
Oh, it's fantastic. See, I wish.
So cool.
and their tractors. In the summertime, there would be tons of tractors, and they would all be, look at my tractor and how great it is.
Is that a John Deere?
Yes, man. I'm serious. Well, yeah, some of them would probably, no, don't worry. And some of them probably would have driven in on, on a John Deere lawnmower just for fun's sake. Like that was the kind of high school it was.
So what was your ride going into school?
I had I got a job at Tim Hortons in Embrun, Embrun, Ontario, which is actually French. Yeah. It's a French place. And Castleman, right beside it, is even more French. So I got my first job there because there's nowhere to work in Chesterville besides Mike Dean's. And for some reason, they wouldn't hire me. So that was the end of that. Oh. And that meant I had to go to Tim Hortons, but it was awesome. I loved that because I quickly saved up $1,000.
There you go.
$1,000. And I bought a 1989 Mercury Topaz.
Fantastic.
Ooh. And it was in fantastic shape. The guy who sold it to me was a real gentleman, an old guy who had actually put some love into this thing.
Nice.
And so this thing worked and it ran for a long time. But once it started having issues, what it would do is at 119, I was great. But at 120, it would go.
Yeah.
And then back down to 119, I'm great.
That was my first car as well.
You know?
Absolutely, yeah.
I felt like he did that on purpose to me to like keep me from speeding. You know,
put some limiter on.
Yeah, man. Probably
for the best. Kids with cars, man, they can go a little too fast.
Yeah, I mean, so did you guys get your first cars young, or did you get a car ever in your life? I mean, I don't know.
We had a van. It was an old Nissan Quest van back in the day.
Yeah.
I was born earlier in the year, so I was like one of the kids who first got their G2. So then I was like
the Andy Mobile,
the Andy Mobile, designated driver. I remember back in the day too, because it had like this is the old school. I'm dating myself now. It had like the cassette that you could connect to MP3, and that was like the latest technology
with like the cable.
Yeah,
man.
And this thing also had like the automatic seatbelt, which was great. I don't know if you ever seen this, but that was a revolutionary thing. Probably not the safest, but
no, I remember it though. And vans weren't bad. I mean,
they're good. You pop so many people in there, and it's just like you're just going.
Girls like it. It was great for dates. I remember
girls like vans. Yeah,
man, I remember
as long as it's not white.
Before I had my Topaz, that I would drive my dad's Ford Aerostar. And I can remember,
picked up all the chicks with it.
Yeah, it was a shaggin' wagon to some extent, a green Aerostar shaggin' wagon.
I had a skateboard. It was, I could not put too many people on it. That was my way around town.
Oh man!
And then in the winter, I didn't leave the house unless I went snowboarding.
Now, Patrick, I think it was you that I wrote down some inspirations. I think these are inspirations musically for you. So Weezer, Sum 41, or maybe this is Andy. Weezer, Sum 41, Green Day, Streetlight Manifestation.
So you're pulling this from my Spotify rap. So that's a funny story. So I share my Spotify account with my son, right?
Okay.
Who's 14. And my son, like, I'm so happy that we have the same interest in music. But like my entire Spotify is based the algorithms are all based on my son's listening to. So like I grew up on Streetlight Manifesto, Weezer, all that stuff. But my son's absolutely obsessed. But for a while, he was obsessed with ska. Okay. So that's where the Streetlight Manifesto comes in. And then he discovered Queen on his own. And now he's like utterly inspired and like absolutely loves Queen.
Okay.
And like he started like, so I got him a piano last year for Christmas. And he started playing a bit here and there. But then like that kid's got like a natural ear. Like he's teaching himself how to play Bohemian Rhapsody by ear on the piano. It's wild.
Nice.
So that's where all those, those are all my influences growing up. But it's a funny story because that algorithm,
Green is the one of these things is not like the other.
No,
and
they're number one. Like it was.
I mean, it's funny. Yeah. I was gonna ask you about that. I mean, Weezer, Green Day, Sum 41, they definitely belong together. You can see a theme going on there. I'm not very familiar with the Streetlight Manifestation.
So Streetlight Manifesto.
Manifesto.
They're like,
my apologies.
They're like they're pretty well known. They're pretty big ska band.
Okay,
and they've got like they've got horn sections. They've got it's super fast paced, upbeat music. It's fantastic.
I'm gonna check it out now.
Check it out.
Streetlight Manifesto.
Discovered them when I was in high school. Actually.
Nice.
Somebody introduced them to me while we were jamming in the music room.
What were the big bands in high school?
For me, that I listened to?
Everybody.
Oh, God.
For me and my friends were really into like old school, like classic rock, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin.
Okay, yep.
And then we got a little bit heavier and heavier,
Yeah.
And then it started going to like the Iron Maidens, Black Sabbaths, and then I kind of went even heavier into like kind of like Children Bodom, Opeth. Went kind of that route, and then I kind of circled back now into like Various types of things, all kinds of chill rock, blues type of music too. So it's like
I can date myself here too, So
Do
it's
it.
all about Korn, and
Yes,
it's all about
absolutely.
System of a Down.
Oh yeah, we
and
just
it
went on a
was-
System of a Down listening Pat the other day because they were announcing a tour. We were like talking about going to check it out.
Right?
I had never really like delved deep into them. Like I knew their main hits. That was about it. For us, like with my group of friends, it was all about some like punk, right? So it was
Yeah.
like Bad Religion, No Effects. It
Yeah.
was, and
Anti-Flag.
Anti-Flag.
Yeah.
There was and then if you get into more like the pop punk stuff, you got like No Use for a Name, and you got the cover band Me First.
Misfits.
Yes. And then you got Me First and the Gimme Gimmes that came out with their albums of the covers and stuff like that. And then you get some The Clash was a big thing too.
I knew
Nice.
I knew your group pretty well. Like, I definitely think I could pick you out in the hallway for sure. I can see you. And you probably too, That's how that's how you'd find people. That's how I knew people in high school. Like, oh, those are the hardcore kids. Those guys only listen to hardcore music.
Yeah.
Oh, these are the country bumpkin kids. They only listen to country music.
I mean, they're walking around with cowboy boots and a big buckle. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bigger
There's
the
a tell.
buckle, the better.
There's a tell, yeah.
Yeah, man. They had a shop class where they would make paddles every year as a ritual in grade 12. And then they'd give a paddle into the grade 9s as they went down the tech hall.
Well, that's Winchester for you.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Exactly. They give them a paddling.
That's a paddling.
And that's right. And you try really hard just to avoid that tech hallway, as best in grade 9,
Yeah.
And they'd wedgie the hell out of you as well, which was...
Oh, man. No, I had a big brother for that.
Oh, man. And if they liked you more, if they wedged you longer, they would rip your underwear right apart. I remember this poor guy in the air until he ripped right through them.
Oh.
Would have been so... And then they're like, oh, we love you, bro.
We do this because we love you.
Yeah, we love you. You're our favorite. It's like, really? You just like gave that guy hemorrhoids for like the next month. And,
Isn't that the atomic wedgie, or what's that one called?
I don't even know, man, but they gave him something like that for
Like
sure.
ripped it all- oh, man.
It was a group holding him up in the air till there was nothing there anymore,
Wow.
So, yeah. All right. Well, yeah, better days came after high school. I think for most people. And
It's like years of therapy right there.
Yeah. The clarity begins once we leave that place, I think, and we see, the world is a little bit different than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's still like that. There's still pricks everywhere, and there's still, lessons to learn, but it's a little bit less set up.
So like in high school, like I was saying, like we were lucky in my high school in the sense that we had a big auditorium and a big like acoustically set up auditorium. We had at the time we had the sound system, the old sound system from the NAC. So with, like proper soundboards, proper speakers, and like whenever we did these talent shows, it was always like there was always like they brought in someone for lights and lighting and sound. So there's always this big production involved. And so whenever, anything music related, I was involved at that point in high school, right? So that's kind of where like, I remember just messing around in one of the practice rooms on the drums, and like one of the music teachers came in and was like, hey, do you want to be part of like the school like band or whatever? I was like, absolutely. And then a few years later, there was this French francophone singer. He was famous in Ontario. He came to work through the school, and then I ended up joining his kind of like band, where we kind of toured a bit.
What was
in
his
Ontario.
name?
It was Paul Demers.
Okay, cool.
And he at the time it was like the French francophone national, not national anthem, but French francophone Ontario anthem for that community.
I listened to a lot of that stuff.
So
Keep going, sorry.
yeah. So it was kind of like an opportunity to kind of like see firsthand how the industry kind of like works,
Nice.
because you had some cool insights for sure.
Yeah. Original Taming Sorry was for francophone, but I would just French dudes and me. And we would on trips to anywhere, I'd be with Miguel, and he would have the French station on, and then he'd educate me on who the person was and what was going on here, and then I would tell him if I liked it or not, and just based on melody. And I remember the one song that was really funny. Him and his cousin and everyone, they were joking and laughing about it at the time. And it was like, the hook was Kotoate or whatever, the sweater song. I don't know if you ever heard that.
The Kotomati. Yeah, it's a funny song.
You know what I'm
Absolutely.
talking about?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So they were.
me and my girlfriend make that joke every year around this time of year.
You see, and I even got hooked by that joke as an Anglophone.
Yeah.
I was still like pulled in by that, and I was like, "Yeah, that's hooky as shit." I'm like, I don't really know what's going on, and Mig told me, and I'm like, "What? It's about a dude? It's about a sweater?
Yeah.
What? I don't understand." But then I was like, "Okay, I get it. It's great."
We got something to listen to on the car ride home now.
There you go.
Oh, you'll enjoy it. You're
There you
gonna,
go.
yes, you will be inspired.
He's like, I doubt it.
I'm sure it's gonna be good.
Yeah, man. And then we played with what's his name? Seth Auger. And he's a great francophone artist to check out for people out there with wild voice, like just a wild gravel, natural gravel to his voice. So like they love him. Like he's got so many fans in Quebec because it's like the perfect sound for singing French music. I don't know how to describe it. For that
raspy voice going on.
So raspy and low, and yeah, man, Seth Auger, people.
Seth Auger.
Yeah, and we showed up, and like he's got a bigger following than I've ever had. But when we showed up, like he just had like this guitar that was beating the hell out of, and it was a very raw performance. And I was like, okay, dude's a friggin' artist, you know. Like I'm not gonna say anything other than that. Like friggin' awesome job. So let's get into Saturn Sunrise.
Sasu.
We'll open the door to this project now. Again, I'm with Patrick Mitrow or Mitrow?
It's Mitrow, yeah.
Mitrow?
Yeah.
Okay, Patrick Mitrow and Andy Mužar.
Yeah, Mužar. That's good.
Mužar.
There
Okay,
you go.
sorry. Yeah,
It's better than most of the times I get there. I get all kinds of different things. It's fun.
yeah. I would guess so.
I've had like Mitrov.
Oh yeah.
They put like the W. They put a V on the W because they think it's like Eastern European or something like that.
I wrote your name poorly on the calendar, so it looked like there was an E beside the O. So you were Mitrow, like a cat.
I've heard it all as well. Yeah, exactly.
But you know, I was like, no, that's not there. That's a phantom letter. So Saturn Sunrise.
Sunrise.
Are you guys recording with Johnny Hall Productions?
We did, yeah. So we recorded with two different studios for this album.
Okay.
So we recorded with Blue Bear Sound.
All right.
This guy Bruce. And then we recorded 3 songs with Eric Eggleston from Johnny Hall Productions.
Yeah.
Both completely unique approaches to it. And both, you can definitely hear it in the songs that there's different approach to their techniques.
And so these are the same songs though on this EP, right? Like
So we got Waiting and the Feud, which was done with Bruce at Blue Bear Sound.
Okay.
Which was like recorded, which was like a off the floor kind of like approach.
Which
is like a unique approach that we wanted. Like it was an opportunity to try it.
Okay.
And then with Eric Eggleston, it was more like individual tracking.
Right.
So,
yeah, it was a fun process. Both of them, they both got great approaches and great studios. So it was a lot of fun, and it's nice to see these songs that we've been playing for the past year and a half finally get recorded nicely to a level we want and get on Spotify, on the internet. So check it out.
We're super excited. Excited. Very proud into the work that was put into there from everybody in the band. Absolutely.
So it's called Saturn Sunrise 1.
Yeah,
that's right.
Very cool. I like that. Going into space.
I
like it very much.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the songs then. The Recluse, which you said was done with Eggleston, and that was done more so, you said, the way it's mostly done most of the time.
Yeah.
Which is in takes, and then you go over till you get the right amount of takes, so the producer goes, yes, I know I have enough here that I'm going to make something amazing. Or you've got it perfect in one of these takes, one or the other. And then, they build it together. And then depending on how things go, I mean, I've had a song take me so many fucking takes, folks. Like I've been trapped in the vocal booth before for a long
so has
time.
this guy. He's not even We have a story.
There's a story.
You want to go for it?
No, it's funnier. So you go for it.
So we're tracking at Blue Bear Sound, some background, just O's. That's the letter O. Nothing special, crazy. Just the letter O. He's singing some O's, and so he was struggling for whatever reason. It was too loud in his microphone. He couldn't find.
You forgot a part. You forgot. There's a part. So before it was O's, I used to sing the actual lyrics behind with you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but it took like an hour to like figure out like, you know what, I cannot pitch match. It's just, I'm off key, whatever.
So you were doing it alone, and then like with the headphones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we recorded off the floor.
Interesting.
The drums, the guitars,
Yep.
and the bass, and then we went in individually and did the tracks.
Of course,
the
yeah.
things, and,
Yeah.
and then we went in separately to do vocals.
Okay.
So he went in, did his vocals, and then after he did his vocals, I went in and did the backup vocals.
Okay.
And originally in the song, in the feud, I would sing the lyric with him.
Right.
But then I was having issues. Like I asked him to put myself louder in my monitors, in my headphones, and that was throwing me off. But I didn't realize it at the time.
Okay.
So like after a while, we were like, okay, we're wasting time here. Like let's just try doing O's. And so like the whole story is like, $65 O's. It took like an hour just to get one part.
and you're paying per.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh,
So it was like,
shit.
and we got a great discount with them because
Okay.
our bassist Pat, he's friends with him. He works with him, right? And so we got some good pricing on that front. So we got lucky.
Right
But
on.
yes, that's when the $65 O's come in.
We like to
Oh
razz
my
them about it
God.
whenever you see those.
See, we have unlimited time in the past with the producer we went in with, like
Mhm.
with what we're paying per song. Like we would have unlimited, at least supposedly. We didn't really, because we were from Ottawa and we were going to Toronto. So everything was time is money, and let's get this shit going because it's another day in the Airbnb if we don't wrap this. And that's another day off work for you. And
Yeah.
so, there was pressure and we couldn't mess around. But at the same time, there was no like feeling of that, where it's like, oh, we're costing ourselves money right now.
It wasn't like that. It was just more so a joke.
It was
Just like-
okay, good.
It's turned into a running joke.
That's
now.
good,
Yeah.
you guys. Good.
Yeah, there was no like.
It's not like, oh, come on, get it together.
Yeah,
man.
not at all, not at
all.
just
That's good.
No.
These are some nice O's.
Yeah.
I mean, it made me think about doing group vocals and how much fun doing group vocals
Oh, yeah,
are,
sure.
and how you like turn around the room together and you sing it this way and then you sing it this way and then this
different
way.
spots in the room
Oh,
too.
it's
just
different,
like-
Yeah, it's a really fun experience. Recording is a great experience.
Oh, it's so much fun.
What was funny about that moment as well is that like, again, Annie and I we razz each other all the time, right?
Mhm.
And so I got my headphones on, and Bruce is at the board, and he hit like the mic button, the board mic, and then so after the take, and I can hear Andy speaking to Pat in the background, and he's like, "Oh, you got some $65 O's." And I was like, "I heard that." He's like, "Oh, he's like talking shit behind me in the back."
Nah, but we meant it for him.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, it's a good time.
Sure, it was a joke.
So when you're writing these songs, how does it work? Does someone bring a riff? Does someone bring half of a song? Does someone bring a whole song?
So right now, Andy's got like a back catalog of like 20 something songs. Like he's been working on since like.
Yeah, since I've been like 12, 13, like some of them more recent. So I typically come with like a good structure of the song, either a riff and like a verse chorus type of thing. Sometimes they're more fleshed out and like almost completed. But it's nice to bring it into the band scenario, kind of jam it out. Pat and I a lot of times just kind of jam it out, kind of talk about the structure, how it's going to go. And then the rest of the band as well kind of jumps in there too, either through practice. Like we kind of reserve our practices as like practice for a set. We've been doing a lot of shows this last year, and then have some time set aside to practicing some new ones to kind of jam them out, see where they go. And it's always a unique and fun experience when you bring it, something that you may have created by yourself into a band scenario and kind of see the direction it takes. It's you never can really fully expect where it goes. So it's always a fun creative aspect sharing that with other individuals that you guys have been jamming with. So that's kind of the approach right now. But there have been a few songs where we kind of did a little bit more collaboratively, where we all sat down and brought it together. So kind of a hybrid, but a lot of them right now, it's been me writing and recording from songs I've had for a long time.
Do you share writing credits, or is this your songs and the buck stops with you?
We're sharing song credits. Anyone who's playing on the song, we're sharing writing credits.
Yeah, equally across. Like the credit, lyrics are written by Andy, so he gets the lyricist credits on that front, right?
Yeah.
We've got a couple songs in our set right now that we've written. Like the first song I think we wrote as a unit was Man on the Outside, right? And so that's like, lyrics are put in together as a band kind of thing. And so, the credits go across the band on that front, but everybody who participates in writing the songs writes their own parts.
Okay.
Sometimes we'll come up with like a an idea for one of the parts for the second guitar or the bass or something like that, and we'll pitch it to either musicians and then they'll take it, run with it, and then they kind of make it their own, which is wonderful as part of the creative process.
Once someone's in the room when you're writing, then it's right to give them some form of credit, like just even if they're in the room when you're writing. And here's the thing, folks. This is some difficult musical education 101. And this is for Patrick too to always keep in mind. Drummers in the industry get fucked over a lot. And so they either have to become session drummers where they travel a lot and they move band to band, or they become like Neil Peart. They protect themselves in some capacity because you cannot copyright, you can't protect a drum beat. It's not possible.
No.
So what you can is the melody. Well, that's the vocalist. And what you can is the lyrics. Well, that's the vocalist. So in the end, what happens is the vocalist gets set up. So let's talk about a band like, for example, the Headstones. So I went and saw Dale, who was their drummer for 20 years. And a fantastic dude, like rock star hair, rock star everything. Mm-hmm. And I went to go see him in Toronto, and he had a lineup of women just waiting to see him. And he was just there putting on like an open mic. And, you know, and in the end, I don't know the full details, but I know he got screwed over. I know he said, look, I would like some safety. I would like some type of reward here in the songs because I'm not making enough money touring with you. In fact, you're definitely not, right? Yeah. In that level. The truth is, for our level, we're never going to worry about it for a long time unless you get lucky. But we still, as Taming Sorry, looked after it. So, for example, we did 17% split across for 5 people.
Yeah.
And then we did a percentage to our producer out of respect. Yeah. And that was maybe between 5 and 10%, depending on the song. And I just felt like, I might do the lyrics and I might do the vocals, but there's a lot going on once we start writing and working as a team. So for team ethic, that's how I would advocate it.
Yeah.
But Bryan Adams did not. Okay, let's look at the other side. Bryan Adams is from Ottawa. He was in a band here with somebody I know for a week. And after 7 days, he came downstairs and he said, guys, you suck. You don't put enough work in. I'm serious about this. I'm out of here. They all said, what a prick. That guy's a real jerk. The next year, summer of 69 or whatever the hell it was blaring on their radio. And they were going, oh shit, we witnessed a genius. Now, that genius is rare as can be, folks.
Yeah.
And you have to be really amazing. And I mean, it's like Prince. You know, you could be that cocky if you're that good, but how rare is that character?
See,
yeah. And if you want to create a foster, like a band is a very intricate dynamic. It's like, it's more than just friendship. It's almost like
business.
It's a business. Yeah. And it's like you're kind of coworkers at some point if you look at it that way. But I like to look at it more from a creative aspect. It's, there's a lot of interdynamics that happen there. So it's like, if you keep everybody happy and do right by everybody, you're gonna be a little bit more together, cohesive as a unit. So I mean, there's multiple ways to do it, and everybody does different. Like how you mentioned Bryan Adams. I mean, he is the name, the show, and he is the band. You know.
Yeah.
So there's many ways to kind of go about it, and many ways works for different people, and it's a unique scenario that there's no right or wrong way to do it, and there's a lot of different aspects and kind of things that go, like a lot of the things you mentioned there.
Yeah. Andrew Garib, who was on yesterday, he was in Animal Confession for a long time, from like 2012 to 2018, like a good run of 6 or 7 years with a band. And now he's just like, I don't want to go through that pain. I don't want to go through that again. So now he's writing everything himself and using session musicians.
Yeah.
So it's like you're saying, there is no right, there is no wrong. There's just always be aware for yourself in the end. I mean, it's something I think all of our parents teach us at some point, which is like, look out for number one in the end. Like, be careful. Like, be friends, be a good person. Look out for yourself.
Like honestly, like when you're getting into that band setting, you know, you need to have those tough discussions early on.
Yes.
Our approach was
Yeah.
everybody gets a share, like an equal split
Yeah.
from the get-go, right? Not that we're making big bucks right now.
No,
or anything like
but
that. We've got
it's-
our goals, we've got our ambitions, and we're setting ourselves up in a way that, you know, if and when we get to that level, we've already established those discussions, right?
You guys know Cleopatra? Or
Yeah.
heard of them, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
look at that's like an overnight sensation example, right? Like going from nothing to everything
Yeah.
literally overnight. And if they had not had things worked out, they went to music school together, I think at Durham College, and took like the music industry arts program. So they had all that stuff figured out, and they're teachers. And I think it was a great setup, the way they got the industry to buy into them. And it was a great plan, which again, I want to talk to you guys about.
What was their plan? I'm curious. I haven't really done this case study. That's
Oh,
exciting.
wow. Okay. Well, I mean, Hometown is a fantastic hit that blew up overnight. And there's many rumors about how it came to be and how it happened. But it got added to many Spotify playlists very fast
Okay.
and simultaneously. And it made them very big in Europe. And it made them very big in Germany. Basically, Canada's not going to give them the love they deserve right now, but they're getting a lot of love in Europe. And
I've heard of a couple bands like that.
yeah, and these are just two guys from Coburg. So, I mean, it's kind of reminiscent of in a way of 3 Days Grace, how they come out of that Peterborough area. But, of course, 3 Days Grace does it the old school way coming up. And these guys did it in a new way where there's different rumors. I'll kind of share a little bit of a rumor. So they're in a program, like I said, where they learn about the industry. And one of the things you learn about is cover letters and how to send off a letter and say to somebody, promote your song and say, yo, you should totally listen to my song and give my song an opportunity to be heard. And they kind of, what I heard possibly was maybe, they said, look, we're a management group. We're a management group, and we have this song, and it's an amazing song.
Right?
And we have this great seal on our letterhead. And you should really pay attention to us.
I was reading an article or listening to
and it worked.
Yeah.
And it flicked.
I was listening to a video online, and it was like this guy, it was the same kind of concept where he said like, hey, I'm a manager for this band. You're going to love these people. Great songs, great this. You know, I can't say enough good things about this band. When in reality, it was the band members saying like as a manager kind of thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Fake it till you make it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's
All
like
the
that
bands
CEO,
tell the story about picking the band manager name.
Yeah.
And it's Frank Valti. And that's his name, you know. We just
Create
made
an email
it.
address,
You just-
Frank.Valti at the band.
Exactly. You make him in his own email. You make him a little profile.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of bands.
It's like that small business where the CEO he gives a business card and it's a sales rep card.
Now, these guys had a great sound.
Get like a monocle or something and just be like,
little top hat.
Like we had Slow Tom in here the other day, and his band Furnace Face blew up in the 90s, and they were on Much Music, and they were selling out of their cassette tapes, batches and batches of cassette tapes. And they were under a distribution deal with Cargo Records, and Cargo got the deal to distribute Nirvana at the exact same time that Furnace Face was one of Cargo's #1 sellers.
But they focused on the Nirvana instead of the...
But Cargo said, look, Nirvana, we're totally going to sell your record across Canada, but is it cool if in the HMVs and all the stores, if we put our top 3 sellers beside it? And they said, yes.
Okay.
Well, that boosts their sales times 10 because they're right beside Nirvana. And all the, the nice displays, the cardboard cutout, right?
Yeah.
And he was telling the story about how he's very humble. Like Slow Tom's amazing in this community over at Spaceman Music, and used to do sound. He does it now at House of Tark. So you can find him at House of Tark. But
That's him?
Yeah. So Slow Tom's an incredible dude, and like his career is insane. And Anyways, so he's very humble. He's just like, no. It's not, it's like, we got this lucky deal where all of a sudden we were connected to the hottest band in the world.
Yeah.
And we were being distributed and we were put beside them every store in the country. So it was like, wow, Yeah. So you never know what's going to happen. You just have to do your best.
Yeah, put yourself out there, give yourself a chance. And
man.
I miss those days.
Yeah.
And before that, it was like another store name. And before that, it was R&E Records or something like that. Like, it's sad that part of the music industry.
There's still a record, like a music store in Place d'Orleans. I think it's like something records, but you can get vinyl, CDs, all that stuff.
There's a lot of them. Like, you go down Bank Street, there's a ton that are still around there too. But
you got Vertigo that's still around.
Vertigo, yeah, for sure. It's always fun to kind of snoop around the vinyl sections.
I think they offer the vibe now. As much as they offer the product, they offer that vibe that's now so hard to
You get that, like,
find.
you walk in, you get that smell.
That's right.
That unique, it's like, the vibe.
I'm going to get a hard copy of something.
Yeah.
It's a different thing I think, from the world that people are born into now.
Yeah.
So in The Recluse, I got a strong 90s vibe. I got Oasis, Smashing Pumpkins, and The Offspring.
We get that one a lot. And
you know what?
And
like, I appreciate it. Like, it's like, those are all great bands that influenced us, right?
Yeah,
that we listen to.
You're an alternative band, right?
Yeah, alternative indie rock. Like
if
the
you're
labels these days are kind of like, what do they actually mean?
Yes, but your voice will define that.
Yeah,
and that's what you'll find going forward is that the more you lay into something as a genre vocally, it's going to become your flag.
It's true.
And you won't be able to change it easily.
No.
So you should lean into it more.
Yeah.
And if you have a producer like Eric Eggleston, who has a great ear, great voice.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I don't know Eric greatly, but I know of his talent. And so, if Eric loves your voice and thinks it fits in alternative, I'd say go for it. I mean, when I got to our producer, he said, "Warren, you're not alternative. I think you're Southern rock." And I said, I've got a lot of whine in my voice. And at the time, I was singing stuff that was more Smashing Pumpkins style, with more whine. And he was like, I'm going to eliminate it. I'm like, what?
He's like, change who I am?
He's like, we're going to kill it. We're going to kill the whine, and we're going to just lay into the grit.
Nice.
And
how did that transformation work for you?
It was amazing. It worked. The band bought in. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Is once we made a decision to go this way, and he was confident that it would work, and that gave me confidence.
That makes a huge difference when you work with a producer, and that's kind of like, you almost have to like put your ego at the door.
100%.
And at least give whatever they're mentioning a chance, right? Like, when I came in, like when we recorded The Recluse with Eric, like, I used to do a lot more cymbals, a lot louder, and it's like, you need to chill a bit. It's a lot of cymbals. It's very loud. Let's just kind of like build it up. And so, like, part of the songs that I played, we kind of like restructured it to be like a little bit more tamed, and then focus more on the accents of the actual cymbals of, like, at the right times, right?
Right.
And so it's like when you work with somebody who's got that ear, and you trust that their process, it makes, like,
the producer makes you realize you're bringing in all these elements which taint everything. So for me, he would say, Warren, you're singing like Elvis right now. And I would say, what? I am? He'd say, come in the room right now and listen. And he'd show me the distinct 3 words where it's like, this is how Elvis would say this. I don't want that. Or this is how this person would say, Warren, why are you doing this? And you do things you don't even realize you're doing, which is kind of changing the product. So it was like a refining of my ear and an understanding of a commitment of the voice, and realizing that my singing voice is equatable to Porky Pig's character voice. So it's the same thing. Like, it's absolutely absurd. But my vocal character is akin to any animated character or any vocal character you can think of.
Oh, he's got the Kermit voice down. I do.
You see? And the more you form your character, the more you can become like Ozzy. Like, so when people hear Ozzy's voice now, they don't even associate it with anything but Ozzy.
Yeah.
And that's
when you hear him sing, it's like completely different. Like, you hear his voice and you hear his singing voice, it's like, oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. Well, he's mumbling. He's mumbling when he's talking most of the time. Rome, I thought Rome was good. More sad. Not Alone, Into Rome was nice. That worked well. It wasn't my favorite out of the group, but good song.
That one actually gets a lot of people quieting down and listening. We've really cut our teeth also at a lot of open mics. Over at Stray Dog, we used to go there like every Thursday. Shout out to Stray Dog.
We were there,
and we were like their
feature act when they like opened up. They had an open mic going, and they had just kind of started it, And that, and then like, we showed up one time to just hit the stage, and they asked us to stick around and do like a 30 to 40 minute set in between the open mics in the middle of it. And so like, this is when it was just Andy and I, and like, it was more acoustic styles. And like, we had a cajon. I was playing the cajon then, and just, absolutely. And that's kind of how we like,
Yeah, he was all into the cajon. He had to like tape up his fingers.
it was
He looked like he was about to
bad. It
go,
was
like,
bad.
into
It
battle or
was
something.
bad. It was like,
Playing baseball.
He
Well, it's like-
dislocated
it's
his
like-
finger one time while he was playing. Fucking
I kept
popped
playing.
it back in and kept going. What a trooper.
oh, it was, that was at Live and Elegant. I hit
Oh, yeah,
my
that's-
hand,
yeah.
like my middle finger, the knuckle hit right on the corner of the cajon.
Still a bit wonky.
I mean, that's too many broken fingers. That's a different.
I had a spoon player. We had a spoon player at a
Right.
show once in Gatineau in Quebec on the French side.
It's a
And
very
this
Quebec thing to
guy
do.
at the back of the room was going fucking hard. He must have been 80, but he was just going nuts on the spoons. And
Yeah.
that's
I
what that
remember
made
one
me
night-
think of.
I remember one time we played a Stray Dog, and I did not tape my fingers that time. And I played. We played. I'm obviously not doing the proper technique. If I'm like, but like
Oh,
after
don't
I
know.
set, you know, like, you know when you get those like suction cups.
Yeah.
That's how like each of my fingertips looked, like big round and swollen. I got home, I put my hand in a bucket of ice, and like the ice melted within like 5 minutes.
When I
Right.
was 23, I was at theater school in Toronto, and I did African dance. And
Well-
there was no CD player. There was nothing like that. There was a dude named Popcorn, and Popcorn sat in the corner of the room, and he played a djembe. And he just, whole time, an hour and a half straight, he would not stop. He would just increase and decrease
Yeah.
tempo as the leader of the dance troupe was telling us, who was a 5-foot Caribbean dude and pure fucking muscle. And
Yeah.
this guy was teaching the Lion King. So he would walk around, and the girls, if they were struggling to lift their legs or lower them, he would say, suck it in your belly button. You want to be on the Lion King? You're not going to make it. Suck it in. And I'm serious. I'm going to suck it in.
That's what
And
Andy tells me.
I believe it.
When I
Singers
try to
do
walk
this.
when I try to walk behind the drums, and like I'm walking and every shit's falling all over the place.
Do people ever try and just play your drums at shows? To drum people, have they ever tried to play your show?
So like honestly, I try to like, I'm very picky on my configuration,
Yeah,
and I've played house kits, I've played other people's drums. I play pretty hard,
yeah,
and so I've played. We try to bring our kit all the time,
yeah.
and so we're usually you bring our shells, and we let the other drummers use our kit. But because we played one kit, we used someone else's kit one show at the Dom, and like I dented the crap out of the shells. And so, sorry, not the shells, out of the skins. I replaced them. I bought them new skins. I felt really bad, but like it's one of those things that like when we get that band chat open, with all the other bandmates, wow.
With everyone in the
That word,
bands.
those words. And they're like, oh, so what's the backline? What's the plan? I'm like, hey, I'll bring the drum kit. You guys can use it. And it's like, it's also like a little bit selfish as well, because we got our big logo on the drum skin. So it's like Saturn Sunrise right there. But-
Perfect. Yeah, man, the whole drum thing is amazing. Like when you get into the band and you realize you get a big opening show, and the drums, like they're like, set your kid up in front. of the
Yeah,
kit.
we were playing someone else. Yeah, we were
Yeah.
playing
right.
and they don't-
yeah, you know, and
or in the corner somewhere.
that's right. Like
Yeah.
you're not touching the
Yeah.
real kit.
Yeah.
And I get it. You're playing first of all, you're playing most likely playing on a bigger stage. And these kits are not like, $1,000 kits. You're talking like, these are like $10,000, $15,000 kits. And in most cases, it's like you lend the shells out. People bring their breakables, right? You bring your cymbals, bring your snare, bring your throne, bring your sticks.
Anyone ever try and steal the mic from you when you're on stage?
Not yet, but
It will happen.
We'll try and get that happening. I mean, I like it. If they know our songs, they steal the mic and sing.
No,
let's
it's
go.
generally not like that.
We're gonna
People-
get Kyle to do it.
People are messed. Yes, you
Yeah,
should. You should
yeah.
let Kyle do it.
I
Absolutely.
mean, I don't even think I need to ask.
yeah,
Just be
Super
like,
Kyle, yes.
Yeah.
But like, man, I've had drunk people just rip the microphone and they're on their own journey. And it's like, I was doing play-by-play for the Ottawa GG's hockey team when I was like 20, and it was packed because they were playing Carleton.
Yeah.
And everyone's hammered. The kids were just hammered. And this drunk girl comes by and she rips the microphone out of my hand.
Oh no!
And she goes
That's
right
so-
into the camera and she goes, global warming is a serious issue. Global warming is a serious issue. We got to save the planet. And I'm like, okay, that's true. It's true, folks. We got to do that.
It's like the guy who steals the mic from that news anchor. I'm not going to say it, but he's like, right in the...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People just want to have a good time when they get that moment, right?
Yeah,
They're like, you can't arrest me for this, right?
Yeah.
So then Lie to Me. What I liked about Lie to Me was I thought it was cheeky. I thought it was groovy. The crocodile teeth, the pearly white, it's all right. That was very nice. I really liked that.
Thank you.
Waiting, I thought really good. I thought it had a classic rock riff, which was slightly modified and very poppy punk feel. What else did I say about it? When You're Gonna Knock on My Door. So I must have liked that.
So there's a running joke on that one.
Okay, what is that?
So like Andy would
Yeah, the running joke is that I wrote it waiting for the pizza man to come by. When you're gonna knock on my door, I was hungry. So it's not actually necessarily about that. It's more so that aspect of waiting for somebody. When you're anticipating somebody or somebody coming, and it's just like you're looking out the door, you don't have enough time to do something else, and you're just waiting for that. So I tried to really encapsulate that. There's a lot of kind of repetition of that theme there because it's like that constant state of waiting. It's a really cool song that I really like the riff on there too. Goes kind of like the major pentatonic style, and does have that classic rock feel. We even want like the classic rock ending on that one.
Absolutely.
With like the slowdown on the third of When You're Gonna Knock on My Door. So it's a fun one. It gets yeah, that's right.
Maybe almost a Supertramp influence there at the end.
Yeah, a little bit for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
The Feud, obviously a heavy hitter. I thought the Feud and the Recluse are supposed to be.
Yeah, the Recluse. We actually we released that one as a single earlier this year, and it's a song that we typically open our sets with. We find it's got good energy, gets the crowd going, gets some good guitar riff going.
The Recluse is a single.
Yeah,
it is a single, and
it was released as a single. And what's nice about that song, the reason we use it as an opener is like people are talking or whatever, and then we just count it in, and it starts just like bam, bam, and everyone just their head just fucking twists towards the stage right here, right? So that's what's nice about that song.
The Feud has again a British feeling. So what's interesting about it to me is like the Recluse gave me a British feeling, and so did the Feud, but it's different producers. And so that goes to you being the writer. So that is the continuity I wrote down because I'm so smart. I know that word, continuity.
Big words.
Yeah, man. And so I said, what did I like in the Feud? The Last Forever part. And then again, I don't know what you're saying, but it goes into Together. I thought that was nice, though. The Last Forever somehow. I thought that was good.
Yeah, that one's cool. And in that British type of influence makes sense because like even that chord progression there, that's very much like similar to like a lot of Oasis songs in terms of that. I've listened to a lot of them too, and I think they got really great chord progression.
You can hear it. I think it's an interesting influence to come pulsing through.
Yeah,
the fact that I strongly hear the '90s through your music is an interesting. It's good. In my opinion, it's good. As long as you guys like it.
Absolutely.
As long as you guys like it, that people are like, wow, you make me feel like I'm listening to a band from the 90s in a certain way. I know it's not, and I'm the same way, right? Like my band makes like music from the 70s. So I know it's not from the 70s, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like that nostalgia feel and like people that listen to that. And like a lot of that stuff is timeless. Like you hear a lot of these bands in the 90s are getting a lot of play even with the younger crowds.
And they're trying to tour again.
And then the 70s music, it was big for me. Like
He Said, She Said bridge.
Yeah.
Right? Very, it almost felt Beatlesque, right? In a way. So again, going all the way back to that British feeling, but even
further back.
Did you notice the panning?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the Feud on repeat at the end, that's smart because it's like this is the song that never ends. It just keeps going on, my friend. And so that's what that reminded me of.
Yeah, we've been doing a good thing live and it gets the crowd going. We got kind of modified a little bit right after that
breakdown.
He Said, She Said section where we get the crowd to sing like this Feud. They sing it right back to us. And then it kind of builds them up and kind of preps them for the end there. And our last show is funny. There was like a couple brothers there that were feuding. They're just kind of joking around, just doing a little bit of moshing there. So it's like, we had some feuds. I always invite the crowd. If they got any good ones, find me at the bar. We'll share a drink.
Have they ever?
No one's called me up on it just yet, but I'm waiting for that one, and I will buy that person that drink if they come up to me with a good one.
They will.
Maybe it'll fit into
They'll
a
come.
story, into a song at some point.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
They will come, my friend.
Yeah.
So what else do I want to ask you guys? Well, you guys have done a lot of great shows. I think in the Ottawa area, you did like Dekcuf. I see you do a lot of work with Brad Lake, Pandemonium Productions. Shout out to Brad
Absolutely.
Lake.
Shout out to Brad.
That's been so. We started off by like we're like I was organizing the shows a lot, and I was sometimes I was hitting roadblocks with the venues not reaching back to me and stuff like that. And I reached out to Brad, and he brought us on a couple shows, and like we did well, brought a decent draw, and then he just kind of like whenever he's got shows, he's reaching out to people, he gets us on there and with like decent bands as well, decent bills. And it's been very kind of like symbiotic.
All right.
Brand, absolutely.
I'm going to be mean. Here we go. You can only pick one.
Oh, Lord.
We got Rainbow, Overflow, House of Tard,
That's an easy one.
Live on Elgin, Dominion Tavern. What's the best memory? Cafe Dekcuf.
So memory for me, anyways,
Yeah.
if you're thinking memory, for me, Rainbow holds a special place in my heart
Yeah.
because my parents, like my mom and my stepdad would bring me to the Rainbow to see all these blues acts.
Yeah.
And so I grew up going to the Rainbow. And like I saw Jeff Healey there back in the day when I was like 12, 13 kind of thing. Right. And I was never a huge blues fan at the time, but like my stepdad and my mom were. And when I went to see this guy, like it just blew me away.
Yeah.
And so when we got the opportunity to play with Valvehead and the Turning Lights at shout out at the Rainbow, it was a no brainer for me. For us, it was like it's such an iconic venue. The bands that have played there is just wild. So for me, it's like
Yeah.
I agree.
it's
the
a no
vibe.
it's a no brainer for me. It's just the nostalgia, the atmosphere, you know, even like to like the owners and like the
Yes.
it's the people who organize the shows, like Stacy and all that. They're fantastic people to work with. So
Andy, how about you?
I would have to go with the Rainbow as well, but I do have a caveat.
Yes.
I really liked our first show, which was at Rib Fest in Orleans. Just
Rib
because
Fest.
it was an
That's
outdoor
true,
one.
that's true,
And
that's
it was fun too because it was like trial by fire for us because it was a
Okay.
3-hour set and we're just starting. We like normally our sets are like between 30, 45 an hour most.
yeah,
And this was our first set. We just got our guitarist Zach and our bassist Pat to join the band.
3 weeks before,
Yeah, and we had four jams, 4 practice.
21 songs,
To bang out 21 songs, and like these are we played all originals.
Yeah,
And like some of them were just extended guitar solos. It was a dream for me. Oodles of noodles, and there was a nice fan that was blowing my hair out there, and it was
under the stage,
it
upwards.
was so, and it was like it hit right at the time when one of this, I think it was in Rome, where it got quiet, and then my hair was flying back. I'm like, oh shoot, this is really cool. And
Yeah.
everyone was saying like it was a paid actor. It was so fun. And I didn't even see that fan before then. It was jokes.
yeah.
That was a great time, and we got paid in ribs. So
Band
Ribs.
rally. You
Yeah.
guys rallied
Yeah.
in that time together,
Oh, it was
right?
all like
Come
we
together.
spent like several months, just Andy and I, just working on our chemistry, working on the songs, getting the ideas of getting the setup and see how they're going to work, how the songs are going to mesh together, and like finding the percussions, finding the just playing together.
The
and-
journey was
and then-
great, right?
And then
Yeah.
we got that opportunity, and we're like, okay, we need to find some other musicians, right? And so I had played with. I had subbed in as a drummer for Zach and Pat's other band. So they're with the Celtic, they call it Outlaw Celtic
Okay, yeah.
band. So like it's
occasional pudding. Shout
Occasional
out.
Pudding.
Oh, nice.
They've
Yeah,
got,
yeah,
they've
yeah.
got like a residency going on right now at like the Darcy McGee's on
Excellent.
Spark Street. It's fantastic.
Hell yeah.
But I had subbed in maybe like 10, 11 years ago. A long, I don't know exactly, but a long time ago as a drummer for them for one of their gigs. And then we were looking for musicians, and I reached out to them, and they both said yes. So they came in, they learned 21 songs, and absolutely rocked it out. And that was one of the first instances. It was like, well, you should not give a drummer a microphone, because some of the shit I said was really dumb, and I didn't realize how dumb it was until I watched the playback, and I was like, man, I need to talk a lot less.
I'm glad you have awareness.
Oh my goodness.
I'm glad you have awareness. I kind of had to point that out to my drummer years ago. But I mean,
Yeah,
And-
less is more in a lot.
Yeah,
I've been
yeah.
told- I've been told before to like, you know what? You should talk a little bit less.
But it is the journey towards a show and then the payoff that makes it
Absolutely.
so memorable. Because like for Blues Fest, I'll never forget ever, and for as long as I live, the way the band, not me, the band worked on transitions between the songs
yeah,
and endings and intros.
yeah,
And new intros, new outros for every song we had.
to make sure it's like seamless kind of thing.
Yes.
It fits
The
nicely.
bass player never stopped.
There's no like
Yeah.
there's no lull in between
Like,
songs.
I'm so proud of them. Like,
Yeah.
I'll forever be like, yes, I needed that time in between songs sometimes to take a deep breath, especially since it was humid as hell out there.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was the wake up call, taking my first breath out there and going, okay, this is going to be a little bit more challenging than I anticipated. But such a great thing to hear your band do that work.
Yeah.
And just appreciate it. And God, and that's the next level stuff, right? It's like,
Yeah.
say a backing track or whatever it might be. Working on the next level is working on the next level.
Well,
Figuring it out for yourselves as a group.
And that's kind of like where we're at now. Where
Yeah.
It's like, our goal for 2024 was, well, I made the goal. It was basically annoy as many people as we can with our name, get
Right.
it out there. Like, and it's come to the point sometimes where like people are like, oh, what band you're in Saturn Sunrise? And they're like, oh my God, I've heard about you guys, which is fantastic, right? And that was the goal for this year. Next year is going to get some out of town gig, get on some festivals, work on
Promote
our,
this EP. Do
Promote
a little
the
bit
EP.
more recording.
more recordings
Got a few
and
more songs that we
work
wanna
on
get
like
out
a
there.
production level kind of thing.
I saw Montreal, Kingston, Toronto, you guys are looking to do
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
new year. And I think that's great.
I've got some people reaching out already.
Go for it. Go for
Yeah.
any small place as well. I mean, we had a lot of fun in Chesterville over the years.
Nice.
Cornwall is another place where people report having a good time.
Yeah.
Peterborough. It doesn't.
We've got a potential gig in Halifax in the summer for a festival there. We've got to pass it through the band, make sure everybody's on board yet. Hasn't been confirmed yet, but
Make friends with other bands in other cities.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to do, but once you gain their trust and vice versa, you can make something of it. Like, because it is true that you will encounter bands where they bring every single person into the venue, and then as soon as they get off stage, they bring every person with them out.
Oh,
And they're gone. And you'll encounter these bands, or you'll encounter bands that decide they're not going to bring anybody at all, and they're just interested in seeing your people.
yeah.
So when you meet a band and you're like, oh, you're professionals in Toronto, we're professionals in Ottawa,
Let's work together.
let's
Yeah.
not burn each other, let's help each other.
Absolutely.
It can be wonderful. It can be really beneficial. It's tricky though. You got to vet each other. You got to gain trust and all
Yeah.
that stuff, but it can be done.
For
And
sure.
Then you can make a tour out of it down the road.
That's
Absolutely.
the plan.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the goals, right?
I mean, the financials of a band are really challenging, right? They're not something that's easy, but it's a dream, right? It's a dream, and you're working towards something.
Yeah,
It's
for
a
sure.
passion project, right? It's something we enjoy doing. I mean, we all have full-time jobs,
There you go.
so-
But
which is also nice to not have to rely on certain things on any money we're
Of
making.
course.
Because then we don't have to the level of extra stress and
that means you have money to invest in the project.
exactly.
Okay. And in
Yeah.
today's world, that means a lot. It really does.
Yeah.
Because there's 100,000 new songs a day on Spotify.
It's wild.
It's
And how many are like 0 listeners?
And 5 of those were ours.
that's what I'm talking. You see, that's what I'm talking about, guys. And
Yeah.
so you try and make them stick out. You try and make
Yeah.
them
Well,
stick out like a sore thumb.
It's the
in
work that's
some
involved
capacity.
in promoting those, right? It's,
Yes.
Yeah.
As much as we want to have it, it's out there now, right? So, but now we got to work on promoting it, get the campaigns going, get on the right playlist at the right time. There's a whole strategic process behind the scenes, right?
Aaron
the right
Maiden.
podcast at the right time.
Aaron Maiden told me hey, thank you.
Oh, she's
Aaron-
solid.
She told me she
Yeah, that's
found
cool.
a lot of the playlists herself
Yeah.
for her song, which is different for me. And I just said, that is insane.
That's a lot of
I
work.
said, that's so much work. And I
Yeah.
said, I'm proud of you
Yeah.
because it's successful. She's having success.
Yeah.
They are like pushing 10,000 streams or whatever with each release. And I
It's
think
wild.
that's
It's
fantastic for a new band to be doing.
That's great.
You know, so yeah, dream big, push big, go everywhere you can, have fun, believe in each other. If you all find a song that you're like, this is the song, I love this song, and then you're like, I love this song too, Andy, and then everyone agrees, boom, that's it. Go with it.
Yeah.
Go with it, because anything can happen at that time. Doors can open.
You know what's one of my favorite things that I've encountered with playing is and like it's honestly it's with Rome. I remember playing a Stray Dog, and like you know when you're playing, you can hear the chatter in the back. People are talking, they're having beers, like they're having conversations. And so we heard, like I could hear the like that little mumble chatter in the background while we're playing. And then when we started Rome, quiet. And like Andy's the one who brought that up, and it was like, and like I realized it, but I didn't really like put too much thought into it. He was like, that's gonna be a big song. And so like and we worked on it, and like we've like that breakdown was meant to be a drum solo at one point. Right? And then we like we revisioned it while in the studio, and we decided to make it more of a like interlude kind of breakdown, build up into the ending, right?
Nice.
And which I feel like does a song a huge service.
Yeah, we got some pretty creative in the studio there too. Eric brought out Nashville tuned acoustic guitar.
Right? He's
So
like,
that
try
one-
this one. See
that
how
one-
this sounds.
Yeah, so that one came in there and created a nice little unique aspect, and then playing off the regular guitar. And we really wanted this one to become layer on layer on layer and build, kind of like an art. You paint, get more layers on there. So it was great. So a lot of cool aspects on that song that we like how it built, and it's cool that even our last show at Dekcuf, a couple of the bands and a couple of people came up after, like that song was cool. So
Yeah,
Nice.
like Brian came from Holly Acres. His last show with Holly Acres was the show that we played last weekend, and he came up to us. It was super humbling and super cool. Yeah,
Ah,
so he absolutely
nice.
loved it.
Excellent. Yeah, there's nothing better than other artists
Right?
digging in. I remember we were driving to a show in New Brunswick, and all of a sudden on Instagram we saw that Double Experience was playing Down with the Devil on Instagram, and we were like, what the fuck? This is wild. Hearing another band play your music is a weird thing. And of course, like
that's really cool.
yeah, like when you're not, and I thank them so much. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is such a weird experience, because like you don't expect to hear, you're not famous, right? And then that happens. Thank you so much, guys, for coming on. What's in store for 2025?
2025, we're going to be promoting our EP. We're
Mhm.
doing a bunch of shows, probably closer to end of winter, early spring type of thing. And kind of retool a little bit, change our set lists a bit. And then we're going to be probably recording a few more songs and probably pushing more shows into the summer.
Yeah.
We made a strong push for a lot of festivals. We'll see how that goes through.
Yep.
And we're going to be promoting a lot of our playlists, and hopefully we'll see you guys at a stage near us
Absolutely.
soon.
We're going to work on our set live on our live set, maybe make it more into like a production kind of thing, more entertaining, more have our own like live sequencing and things like that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I like the sounds of that. Oh, I just want to say thank you again to Patrick Mitrow and Andy Mužar of the fantastic band Saturn Sunrise. Check out their brand new EP, Saturn Sunrise 1, on Spotify or wherever you find your delicious music.
All over the place.
That's what I was thinking. And you know what, folks? I just want to say thank you so much to all of you for sticking with us, checking this out. We'll see you all again next time on All Warned Out. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.